the impetus was to deliberately kill people and destroy a nation. And one of them, according to the country of Ukraine, in 1932-1933, the Holodomor. And the translation of that, I suppose, is death by starvation. And in that, we don't know, some reports give a minimum figure of 8 million people, more than 11 million people. The truth, I believe, is way higher than that. Now, because of that, I have a great privilege here tonight to introduce to you a young lady who I got to know last year, and who I now consider to me a very deep, a close, deep and personal friend. And Sofiia Mandrusiak from the city of Kolomyia in western Ukraine, the great city of culture, and from the great country where our temporary flag, blue and gold. But in Ukraine, the blue sky stands guard over the fields of golden wheat. But the blue skies now are laid with missiles, the golden wheat with landmines, and terrible destruction has come to this lady's country, to this lady's people. So I'd like to introduce you, and I want to say the Scavo Prosimo, the Mr. Borrisoleigh Sofiia. Slava Ukraine.
My name is Sofiia Mandrusiak, and I come from Ukrainian city of Kolomyia. I would like to thank you for your warm welcome and for giving me the opportunity to address you here this evening. The Russian-Ukrainian war began in 2014. Also, it has been going for centuries, and it's still ongoing. But the full-scale invasion has changed the life of all Ukrainians, including mine. I won't describe all the emotions, experience, and reassessments of values and everything I felt after February 24. But I want to share with you a special story that happened to me last year. I came to Ireland, to a country that turned out to be so similar to the western part of Ukraine, where I come from. It is in that place that the Ukrainian language, culture, and customs are preserved. Ireland immediately and irrevocably stole my heart. And it happened thanks to John Connors, the man who opened up the world. 2,351 people away from me with all the warmth of his heart. Sitting at the table in the kitchen after dinner, we were having philosophical historical conversation. So John said, I listened and cried. Because every time it turned out the history would repeat itself to some extent. The parallels in the history of Ireland and Ukraine could be seen with the naked eye, even by me, a young person who is not an expert in history. The struggle for independence and territory in Ireland 1919 to 1921, and in my country 1970 to 1921, suppression of the national liberation movement spirit by an aggressive country. Irish famine, 1845-1849, Holodomor in Ukraine, 1932 and 1933, and 1946 and 1947. Similar in our Ukrainian history, I would like to quote the Ukrainian historian Serhiy Plokhy. The Holodomor was not only the destruction of the peasantry and famine as such, it also had cultural and political dimensions. It was during the famine that key decisions were made to actually stop the Ukrainization of cities in Ukraine and outside of Ukraine. Ukrainization stopped completely. Ukrainian school in the Kuban and the Lenin Amur switched to Russian. In fact, the largest non-Russian group on the territory of the Russian Federation had been destroyed, and Ukrainians on the territory of Russia were being turned into Russians. But the Russian invasion has united us as a people, and we, as always, now stand strong and firm. And we know that eventually victory will be ours. The fact of raising the flag in Ireland and Ukraine in 1848, the identity of the colors of the flags of Tipperary and Ukraine, I'm not even going to talk about. Therefore, looking back, we must draw conclusions, the right conclusions. Preserve history and remember that we are creating it now. It is crime to be indifferent. On behalf of myself and my family and Ukrainians in general, I want to thank you for supporting Ukraine and Ukrainians in this terrible time. But we are defending not only our territory, but also the European border. Ireland has welcomed many Ukrainians, and I am sure that this experience is very positive for them. Your friendliness, openness, and understanding wins the hearts of Ukrainians. Thank you for that. I would like to express my special gratitude to John Connors, whose home has become my home, to Eddie Stapleton, and to everyone I met here. Thank you. And to those I don't know yet, but really want to get to know. When I came to Ireland last year, I intended to stay for 3 days. I remained for 42. Perhaps this is the greatest proof that this country gently took me into its arms and gave me some of the best emotions during the entire period of Russia's full-scale invasion. Thank you. Thank all of you for your kind attention. Glory to Ukraine. Slava Ukraini. Slava.
There's a small little presentation that the Borrisoleigh Historical Society would like to make to Sofiia, and I asked John Henry to do the needful on our behalf. If you would please.
I've been asked to present this certificate from the Borrisoleigh Historical Society to Sofiia as a token of appreciation for attendance here tonight and for addressing the meeting.
Thank you. Yeah. Wow.
Well, folks, it looks as if all good things come to an end, and since the dead is living in our locality, they just want to assess that.
Just on behalf of Rathline, we'd like to welcome you back again, the second time ever. And these flowers represent St. Clair as your country, your beach, whatever. But you're now an honorary citizen of Rathline.
I'm sure you'll all agree that Johnny did a great job tonight. Sort of, I suppose, evoked in us all shock and horror and
multitude of emotions, dismay, disbelief, that what happened in our own locality was so profound and affected so many Boris families and Boris people. It's unbelievable and words fail you, and as Johnny said, it's a story that I suppose has opened up the possibility of continuing study on the matter, and I know that that's being done by people here, but thanks Johnny, you were absolutely great, and he was very proud, and the two ladies who assisted Johnny, you were excellent, and absolutely Sophia, it was wonderful and unique to have you here. And regrettably, isn't it frightful that famine are the things that kind of unite ourselves and Ukraine? Isn't it shocking? And kind of grated with me a bit, I have to say, is that English law presided over our misfortune. And I suppose I'm tempted to speak of a man who came along subsequent to all of this terrible period of time, and I'm told that famous lines of a poem that he held dearly were, I'm speaking of Dan Breen, and the line of the poem that he held most closely to himself was, "Great empires have vanished, and tyrants have perished, and people enslaved have seen freedom's glad day. The heroes of Greece and great Rome in her glory." And this is the bit now. "And England, God willing, will go the same way." I'm not sure whether I'm speaking in jest or with sincerity, I'm not sure. But speaking of Dan Breen, I know that Johnny, books have been written about Dan Breen, and he wrote his own life story, but Johnny has done research into the life of Dan Breen. Dan Breen, I suppose the person and the impact of his involvement in our fight for freedom on himself as an individual. And Johnny, maybe he has a book almost finished on Dan Breen, and he might be able to tell us when it will be in the shelves.
Yeah. Please God,
Thank you all.
please God, hear from you. I get my chance now to do my sales speech. Early October, and it's a book that I've been fortunate to find material that has not been seen before. And the name of my book will be Dan Breen, The Man, The Myth. And you can get an idea maybe from that of what it's about. Like, you know, so often we have an image, or an image is created, and it can be very much further from reality. Just something about history is this. Sophia in her piece said it there. To be indifferent is a crime. And we must always remember that. And just, I say, without wrapping up too much time because Mary's making the tea. History is important. And why is history important? Because history teaches us what can happen in the future. What's happening in Ukraine right now is not the first time this has happened. And it's not the first time that Europe was called to unite. In 1582, the barbarians and Horse stood at the gate of Vienna. And if it wasn't for a Europe united in faith, in enlightenment, and in culture, we would be living in a different world today. And almost 100 years after that, Lepanto, the Muslim powers. And it wasn't right because Europe stood united and fair. And we need to do that. And to not do that is what I describe is the kiss of Judas Iscariot on the face of Ukraine. Like Sophia said, Ukraine defend their homeland. They defend, like she said, the borders of Europe. They defend the borders of the free world. And that's the world that we live in. And it's our choice what world we want to live in. So, I just say this. If you have any questions about the famine, for me, or the victors, I'd be quite willing to answer that. There's only one question that you ever need to ask from Sofiia, people from Ukraine. There's one question. What can I do to help? Thank you.